for girls and young women to have a voice and to understand that their convictions are important, and particularly diverse perspectives and voice. That is far more focused.
In this video, you'll meet Martha Perry, who's the principal of St. Clement School in Toronto, Ontario. And in this video, you'll hear about her journey from student to alumni to principal of St. Clements. You'll also hear about how her experience in sports shapes her leadership. You'll also hear about what's coming up for the school and how they've strived to increase the diversity of perspectives and student population that they serve at St. Clements. So why don't you tell me 3 things that you love about your job?
Oh my gosh. I adore being with our girls. So we are a small school, grades 1 to 12. And one of the things that really sets us apart is we exist and share facilities within one building. And so part of what I love is being with the girls. And I have the good fortune to be with them all the time. So to me, that's the first thing I adore. I think the second thing that I love is living and experiencing and leading with others our growth and evolution. I'm a graduate of the school. So for me, while I bring that lens of an alum, I also work pretty hard and ask others to challenge me so that we are looking to really shift and change for the future. So that would be the second. And I think the third is just the passionate people with whom I work. I really value our staff, all of our staff, and how committed they are to the school. So I'm a people person, so I would suggest that that's much of who St. Clements really is about those connections and about our community.
And as principal, what does a typical day look like for you? How do you spend your time?
Well, I mean, for me, wherever possible, I'm at the front door greeting the kids. So we have 2 entrances, and I'm at the main door, just at the door greeting kids. For me, that I don't get to teach and I don't get to coach anymore. So being able to just connect with the kids and say hello, get to know them by name, and make sure that they know me. And it's a great way to do a little bit of an impromptu check with kids, see how they're doing. There are a number of meetings as well, whether it's with individuals. I meet with, every year I meet with individual staff members for half an hour, sort of for a period of time from November through to March, just to check in, see how they're doing, which I value so much. But there are strategic meetings, be they with the board or with my admin team or my executive team. And then there are times where I'm just out wandering the halls and popping into classrooms to visit. Obviously it's different right now, but it's heaven for me to be able to pop into a class and see the girls, see how engaged they are, talk to the teachers, talk to the girls. And I find those impromptu conversations inform so much of how I do my job in terms of whether I'm talking to parents about the class that I popped by. So and then connecting with alum, you know, my role also incorporates a component of real cultivation of relationships beyond the day-to-day. And that's important too, really trying to ensure that we are making clear what our vision for the future is, and engaging people in that. So again, probably those connections with people are really important to me.
So something you said earlier kind of made me think. So you're a graduate of the school, and now you're leading the school through innovations in all-girls education. Yeah. How has an all-girls education impacted your life, and why did you feel compelled to return to the school and continue working in that field?
It's a great question. I would say that kind of happened organically. I'm not sure I really aspired to come back here, to be honest, and it wasn't because the school wasn't great. I don't think back in my day, I realized there wasn't as much explicit conversation about what a girls' school, what the purpose of a girls' school was, why it was different. What I would say to you is it's been a fantastic reflective journey for me in returning. So I've had the great good fortune to work at a number of independent schools, day and boarding, primary, junior, high school, as both a teacher and an administrator. And I came back to St. Clements. I call it coming home without realizing it. I'd been at a school outside of the city, and the role of director of admissions came up. And so I came back and was really reminded of just the benefit of being in an environment, and particularly ours, because we're small, we're 460 girls from grades 1 to 12, an environment where you really are known and valued. And secondarily, that girls experience really affords the opportunity for authenticity. So being yourself, letting your guard down. And at St. Clements, our girls are intelligent young women. So not being worried about exceeding. And in fact, our girls are, they have high expectations to achieve, and they don't have to apologize for that. So I think for me, it's been a discovery of the impact that the school has had on me. For me, truly as a student, what the impact was around leadership. I enjoyed my experience all around at St. Clements, but I would say my sports and my leadership were really what guided me to this role, I think. So from a girls' school perspective now, we are a member of the National Coalition of Girls' Schools, and I was a past president of the board there. And to me now, the difference is the nurturing of voice even more. I think, I admire every leader that I've known at St. Clements. I don't think voice was as nurtured when we were younger, and it's not a criticism. I just don't think it was. Whereas now, for girls and young women to have a voice and to understand that their convictions are important, and particularly diverse perspectives and voice, that is far more focused. The notion, and there is a lot out there in the world right now about girls in STEM and STEAM, science, tech, engineering, and math and arts. And I absolutely believe in that. But I also believe equally in girls having a passion about the humanities, social sciences. So for me, it's affording opportunities for the girls to explore who they are, getting to know their authentic selves, and then diving into whatever they're passionate about. So it's an opportunity for authentic experiences.
And can you speak to specifically why your experience as a coach or in sports led you to this role and shapes how you see building up young girls' education and full faculties?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Carly. I think for me, there's such an importance for teamwork, and there's such an importance for understanding, when you build a team, and my sports were team sports. So when you build a team, you're not asking people, you're asking them to work together to accomplish a goal, but you're not asking them to all be the same. A team is comprised of a variety of different positions and different skills and different capacity. And so the goal is to lead different and diverse people in achieving a common goal. So from my perspective, I think that's really informed how I work with people. And, the importance of being clear on what your common goal is, be it winning or being it growth, and being, acquiring skills to improve, be it for the individual or also for the team. So I think that's informed me way more than I've realized, and hugely important. The other thing is, in university, I studied sociology, not really knowing what I wanted to do. And that has also contributed to my lens on things, looking at groups of people and systems and how they interact. So, but I would say that sports leadership has really informed me more than I realized. And I feel so much more fortunate. The other thing I would say, at St. Clements, our philosophy on athletics is really an important and differentiating factor, in that we have very competitive teams. We use our community for a lot of our facilities. We're in the heart of the city of Toronto, and I have loved that. So I grew up not having everything handed to me on a silver platter. We would, go down to our local park to practice various things, and our facilities are great, but it was key to us, and continues to be, that athletics are about maximum participation, so getting as many people involved as possible, and secondarily skill development. So our goal is not win at all cost and sort of cutthroat and people being on a team but riding the bench. It's about people being engaged and contributing to a common goal. So I think that's informed who I am too, and that continues.
And then along those lines, how would you describe the culture and the life at St. Clements?
It's a great question. And, this is the part that I just adore. there is a culture. We are known and celebrate the importance of academic rigor. St. Clements has a tremendous reputation to which we aspire to make sure that that is maintained around ensuring our girls get the best academic education. And learning has really evolved for us. You know, years ago, it was about acquiring content knowledge, and you know, a massive shift has been underhand, which we are loving, about the imperative of our girls learning how to learn. And as we've dealt with the COVID pandemic, you know, recently, never has it been more evident why we've been pushing for this for a long time. And that's, we need to be adaptable. We need to be nimble. And so that is a huge component of who we are. Secondarily, and I think the part when people come in the building and feel it, there's a true, perhaps, until you're in the building, you may not feel it, but a sense of community and fun and engagement. And I think, again, because of our small school size, you really get a feeling for that sense of fun and spirit. We talk a lot about the SES spirit. And this is nurtured too, because we meet twice a week normally with our grades 1 to 12 in assembly. And so our littlest, our 6-year-olds are watching our 16 and 17-year-olds lead. And I remember coming in grade 7 and looking up to the then grade 13 thinking, oh my gosh, you know, they're the adults in the room, and you aspire to be like them. You have these informal and formal role models. Then you get to that role and you realize you're not that old or that wise. But so this sense of camaraderie, this connection across grades, and this true sense of community, which is important. And staff know you don't have to be a student's teacher or a girl's teacher to know them. You know, all of our staff, be they teachers or not, are really embedded in the community. So there's a real sense. I miss it in this COVID time, but we've actually evolved, and there's always laughter in the halls. There's always goofiness and fun, while at the same time really being focused on expanding on learning.
And there's also something I want to refer to back from earlier. You said as an alumni, you have a perspective on the school operations, but you also encourage people around you to challenge the decisions that you make, or the perspective that you have. What's an example of that where somebody in the community challenged you on something? And also, is there ever a student or student
Oh yeah,
students that challenge you in your decisions?
yeah. I mean, I could come up with a gazillion challenges, and it's been fantastic. So, and I would say, you know, to your question about students, I think that's actually the best example. And it's been, you know, we talk about our girls having learning, our girls foster learning in us too. So there've been a number of challenges, and you know, I think of the way we have done things, even with learning, and the manner in which we've taught and worked with our students, and having colleagues, you know, people. I'm a big believer in hire people who are smarter than yourself, and have them push you, and questioning why we've done things the way we've done them, and then shifting approaches, whether it's to, you know, the manner in which we teach or the content in which we're teaching. We've had girls come to us and push ideas about the uniform, and really question the choices we have for our uniform, and particularly around the idea of identity and supporting our students. And, you know, that's been an amazing and important push for me. Different lenses and experiences, people sharing them around, this is how this makes me feel, specific to a tradition we may have. And, you know, that is important for me, particularly as you suggest, you know, as an alum, and especially these days, and perhaps even more so earlier on. And for that, you know, we've got work to do in reflecting why we've done the things we've done. But taking off our own lenses, our own biases, and that's ongoing work. That's not just a done deal. It's constant learning, and it's the ability, I think, as a leader, to make sure that I am reflecting the openness I would want from others. So, you know, be it about a tradition that you know, has been questioned, or a tradition that people really want to hold on to, and I'm asking the questions, you know, why is it that we do that? So it's an exciting time, and I think it's a mutual learning opportunity, be it the students teaching us or us teaching the students, or the best thing is less of a transactional experience and more of a facilitated conversation that enables everybody to grow. And I think you have to build a sense of trust. And I think here we know that the people in our building are bright. They come to us because they know that we're passionate about learning, and And I think, again, our community is one where, we are a close-knit community. We have lots of room for growth to ensure that people truly feel like they belong, that they see themselves and they're connected.
And what kind of family is drawn to St. Clements other than they have a girl and they're looking for an all girls education?
That's a great question that I used to get asked. I got that question asked of me, and what kind of girl? And my answer is, I don't think there's one kind. And I think that's part of what we have to be very careful, is that we don't surround ourselves with people who we think are a particular kind of family that we would want, or that we seek out in our community. What I would say, two parts. What I would say, whenever I talk about this with students, I say there's no typical Clementine. We call our girls Clementines, or they've actually coined that phrase. We have girls who are really gregarious and sort of say, I'm totally into the spirit, and girls who are quite shy and maybe quieter. I think curiosity, it's part of our mission statement. We develop outstanding women who are intellectually curious, courageous, and compassionate. And for me, it's curiosity to learn more. And they may not even know they have it, but in the admissions process, you kind of get that inkling that they're looking for more. I think for families, St. Clements is a smaller school. When you look at us physically from the outside, I always say they may not see the fixings, the fields, the focus. For me, those are families who are looking for a quality program and are comfortable with the idea of truly being a community school. So I see St. Clements, we're in the heart of a community. We use our local parks. We are not afraid to have our girls in the community. And in fact, our girls represent us so well because there is a comfort there. We're not a gated community, and I think that's really important. So families are choosing that, and I think choosing us because of the program and the fundamental belief in the feeling of the community. So there's no particular type of family. I think it's what families believe in and value, and so that's really important that we articulate that when we meet families.
Mm-hmm. For the students themselves, is there a type of student that wouldn't be the right fit or wouldn't excel at St. Clements?
Again, I'm reticent to say there's one type or not, because I think every one of us, brings gifts that you sometimes don't actually uncover unless you've had time with people. One of the things I will say as an educator, first and foremost, because I am a teacher, is we would, our quality of instruction and the quality of students is high. We have high expectations for the girls. So from my perspective, what we won't do is extend offers to students for whom we're concerned about their capacity for achievement. And to be clear, there are students that you see great potential. So it's not about they have to have X marks. It's, as we look at, consideration of candidates, and they look at us too, because it's a two-way street. I would never, and I always said this in admissions, offer to someone where I felt like that program would be overly challenging and potentially cause that student to feel poorly about themselves and their capacity. I don't think that's fair. I think it's irresponsible. But I would say to you, that doesn't mean there's a clear cutoff all the time. I mean, there's a process as we do our admissions that is multifaceted. There are about 6 or 7 things we look at. Marks is certainly one, but comments on reports and, that qualitative component. We have opportunities for the girls to come in and work on activities, but also be seen in a social setting. My favorite part when I was director of admissions were what are called interviews, but to me are really chats. They're opportunities, and with the girls in particular, particularly the older girls, it's just with the girls to start. I love that part. And as I always say, as I enter into those conversations, this is a two-way conversation. You're also trying to figure out what feels right to you. So, you're interviewing me as much as I'm interviewing you. So it's setting people at ease. And it's a whole bunch of factors that we bring together. So not one type at all. It's really about fit and feel. And I say that we have remarkable schools in Toronto. And I'm a big believer in people need to get out and experience and feel what a school feels like prior to making a decision. Mm-hmm. There's a school out there for every person. And I think that's an important thing to know, that it's about, you're investing in a community, and it's a big investment. So you got to feel aligned.
And do you see students going from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12, that full trajectory, or are there targeted years that people come to St. Clements for?
Yeah, we start in grade 1, so we don't have kindergarten, but people used to call them lifers, and that sounded almost like a prison sentence. So we call them career Clementines, and our grade 1 class is typically 16 girls. So year to year, it depends. I mean, we have some girls. So I think last year we had 12 or 13 graduate from a class of 16, which is pretty great to come through 1 to 12. But I would say that our intake years are grade 1, grade 6, grade 7, and grade 9. And there is some flexibility in the other grades. I would say there are some girls who come from grades 1 to 8, and then they look for a change, and they want to venture out to another experience. Sometimes we have them leave and they come back in a year, and I love that too. But I always say to the girls who are like, oh, I'm thinking of doing this, and my response is, look, part of our mission is to nurture courage, and if this is something you want to give a shot to, it takes courage to make that decision. And so you want to make sure that you're supporting them in that too. You're always sorry to leave kids or see kids leave. But so I would say, if there were a transition year, and it's not a huge amount, sometimes we'll have kids leave in grade 8 who've been with us for a while. But our big years of entry are, I would say 7 and 9, with more in grade 6 now, because many of our local public schools are ending. They go K to 5, and then they move to a middle school model that's now incorporating 6 in some cases. So.
And is there an event or an occasion at St. Clements that you look forward to every year?
Oh my goodness, there are so many. So, and right now, for context, obviously being COVID, anything that brings us together as a community is what I love. We are affiliated with the Anglican Church, but we have people from so many different faiths, and we embrace that and engage that. We do have a carol service, and that is something that I adore because we come together as an entire community, including alum. So it's typically the Thursday before the holiday break, be it, family celebrating Hanukkah or Christmas. And it is affiliated with the Anglican Church, but I have the great good fortune to be able to look out to a sea of red blazers. St. Clements has a pretty amazing uniform where we have a red blazer that we love. But alum come back. There are about 1,500 people that attend every year. But on a smaller scale, my favorite events are assemblies at which we gather grades 1 to 12, all of our staff, and they are used for a time of either complete goofiness and spirit or a learning opportunity. Our junior school a year ago, each class would bring forward a teaching from the 7 grandfather teachings of Indigenous learning, and that's a big focus for us in our school, is really learning and gaining and understanding, as a part of our commitment to the truth and reconciliation. So to have our junior school girls teaching our entire community, that's a pretty special thing to be able to do. And that's just one example. Assembly is a powerful time, and twice a week with our whole community is pretty special. And I miss that. I mean, we are doing great creative things where we're meeting once a week online with the full school community, but the in-person I'm craving.
And for parents of students at St. Clements, how do you keep them informed about what's going on in the classroom or what's going on in the school? And if there's an issue that needs to be brought to their attention, how are those communications handled?
It's a great question. I think that connection between home and school is paramount. As we talk through application processes, and anytime I have an opportunity to talk to families, it truly is a partnership. Families are, as I say, investing and also giving us their girls for 8, sometimes 10 hours a day. And I think that alignment with values and understanding is key. So making sure that we're connecting with families regularly, be it, at the beginning of a year around curriculum and making sure they understand what their girls will be learning, to knowing that if there are things that they're wondering about, be it concerns or just questions, they know where to go. So ensuring there's clarity around channels for communication. Our families are immediately a part of our parents association. So getting involved to volunteer and be a part of, assisting in parents association events, or even going on a class trip, are great. I think in terms of things that parents are aware of, we have a weekly newsletter. Push mails are things that go out for an urgent reason. And we value feedback too. I mean, we have a constituent survey that goes out every 3 years. That's important to us too. And we continue to learn. Again, not to dwell, because I know this is, this is a longer term sort of thinking process, but around COVID, it's been imperative that we've kept everybody up to date on things, and that there is there is not only we're delivering information, but we're hearing it too. But they are partners. And the other thing I say that is hugely important for parents to know is sometimes decisions have to be made that aren't going to be comfortable for their daughters. And so sometimes, because they're not comfortable for their daughters, they're not comfortable for families. And so there's also got to be a trust there that as a school and as a place that has experience with education, that partnership is even more important when something difficult is happening, and how we work together to support the learning of the girls. And that can be challenging sometimes, but it's all contributing to the growth of those girls and young women.
And if St. Clements was a person, what personality traits would it have?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Vibrant, spirited, curious, intelligent, really fun. We like to say we work hard and we play hard. So, I would suggest, as I said earlier, extroverted at some times and reflective and perhaps introverted at others. But, and I would also say an old soul who is excited about change and evolution.
And when you look ahead at the next 5 or 10 years at St. Clements, what do you see coming for the school, or changing or innovating or growing about the school?
Oh, there's so many things. I'm really excited about our future. There are so many things. We're heading into the focus on our strategic plan, which is very much focused on our girls and the importance of learning as a process, not a product. So and this is a shift for many people. It's not simply about acquiring a course or simply seeing education as a conduit to the next stage. We absolutely believe that our girls and our families are looking for that post-secondary experience. For us, it's really challenging our girls and us as the educators to understand that learning is messy and that we've got to really delve in. And so it's clarifying that, looking at our spaces and ensuring that spaces really do enhance our girls' learning, ensuring that we are creating places where that environment for girls to connect with each other, to spread out and to engage in learning that is messy is exciting. And I think the ongoing really important reflection and learning from the past, and ensuring that we're preparing the girls and all of us for a world that is far more diverse and absolutely must be stepping out of our own comfort zones to challenge ourselves to really engage and embrace diverse perspectives, diverse experiences. So it's an exciting time. It's been a challenging time in the last 9 months, but I think it's important, and it's forcing us to really take a hard look at the whys we've been doing things, and what might be changed to make the world a better place.
And what's your advice for parents and families and students themselves who are in their search right now?
You know what, because my role was in admissions, and I think I'm so blessed as a head of school to have had that time as a director of admissions, my advice is, as I would say, there are fantastic schools out there. And the key is to me, really get in the doors when you can. Obviously right now you can't, but absolutely get into schools. We all have fancy brochures. We all have lovely websites. It's about the connections you make. I'm really passionate about that. And the other thing I say to families is there is lots of opportunity to talk to other parents about what they hear or know about a school. But you're doing the investigation for you and your daughter, and you and your daughter are unique to anyone else. So I'm a big believer in, I think there are assumptions about every one of our schools and who we are that I'm not sure are necessarily right or wrong. And until a family really gets to know each school for their purposes and their desires, they don't really know. And it's a relationship. So that, it's really about doing the work on your own behalf. There's nothing wrong with seeking out input about the schools, but I always say get in the doors, get a feel for the place, and never hesitate to ask questions. This is a big and important process. The only other thing I would say to the girls, and I've always said this, is certainly for St. Clements, for grades, for actually for every grade, there are assessments that happen, and our girls do assessments as they move forward. I always say to the girls, if I can talk to them on their own, take it step by step. Don't spend hours and hours and hours on prepping. Get a sense of what particular assessments are and prepare for the kinds of questions there are. But we want to make sure this is an authentic process. So everything will work out. You will find yourself a school that fits properly. I think it's just spending the time to speak to people, and don't hesitate to ask those questions.